Well, I think Maduro and his predecessor, Hugo Chavez, have not necessarily been friendly to U.S. business interests, and that influences U.S. government policies toward Venezuela. It's always been that way. I mean, it's been a major oil producing nation for a long time.
Which is why the interest
United
in
States
regime change, which is why the support for the opposition that Maduro is facing currently.
Well, look, there are a lot of people in the United States who want regime change in Venezuela because Maduro, at the very least, is an autocrat. He's not one friendly to the United States. And so there are people here who don't want him around. I mean, that's really no secret. He's not really much of a Democrat. He's an authoritarian autocrat. So there are reasons to not want him. Plus, we have huge influxes of Venezuelan refugees because of, one, the government's policies, and two, because of the U.S. sanctions on Venezuela. Well, it's definitely not helping the Venezuelan economy. People's lives are getting worse, and they're voting by their feet, and they're leaving. So there's a lot of different reasons for it. Some have to do with U.S. policies, and some have to do with the ineffectiveness of Maduro's policies.
Okay. Pathikrit, we can debate on how one views Nicolas Maduro, whether as a dictator, as somebody who's good for the country. But if you go by the past records, we know that since 2014, about 8 million Venezuelans have left the country for better opportunities to the neighboring countries, for better living conditions. You have a crippling economy in Venezuela. You have a dipping currency. You've got hyperinflation. There are a number of problems that are plaguing Venezuelans currently, and that is why perhaps they've taken to the streets, because they thought this is their one last chance for regime change, and that clearly hasn't happened.
Yeah, I do not deny the fact that the Venezuelan economy is in a total mess. They have completely tried to spend everything from the oil revenue. So when the oil prices crashed, the economy got in a mess. And this is a typical communist socialist economy which faces certain things. But, and I'm not supporting that. All I'm saying is that, it's not that somebody else comes in and they will sort out the problem. The other two issues, as Ray was mentioning about the influx, I have two issues with due respect to Ray. Number one, there are a lot of sanctions that you have imposed on Venezuela. So if people of Venezuela are suffering, it is not without the American interference or the Western interference of sanctions. And because of which many countries like India also suffer because of the surge in price of commodities like oil. The second issue is, if there are influx happening within United States, the Biden administration has all the authority to stop it because it's a sovereign country. The problem is Biden actually wants people to come in, so invariably they're coming in. And this is one of the biggest issues in this election, US presidential election, on the issue of illegal migration. The government of United States can take a strong stand that anybody comes in without the right kind of visa or legitimate papers, he would be incarcerated for 10 to 15 years. Something which when the Texas governor tried to implement, he was taken to the Supreme Court of United States by the federal administration. So I am not saying that US have a
Let me get Ray to respond to this, Pathikrit. Ray, you want to respond to this? The fact that you keep slapping sanctions after sanctions on a country and then you expect it to develop and flourish and make the most of its resources? How does that work out?
In this case, very badly. I mean, it's obvious that U.S. sanctions are hurting the Venezuelan economy. And there have been talks between the Biden administration and the Maduro administration to change things to help alleviate these problems. I don't know what's been happening with them. Obviously, these election results aren't going to help things. But yeah, U.S. sanctions are hurting Venezuela's economy, and we have all these people coming here because of it. And if the sanctions went away, the chances are things would get somewhat better. Maybe there would be changes made by the Maduro administration with their economic policies after that might also make things better. But there's no doubt that U.S. sanctions have had an effect and that they've hurt the economy. And so, yes, in that respect, our policies, the U.S. policies, have contributed to the problems there.
Do you therefore think, Ray, that going further, the role of United States becomes even more important in terms of the kind of multilateral coordination we would like to see to ease out the situation in Venezuela?
Is that for me?
Yes, Ray, this is for you.
I think it would help if there were some change in U.S. sanctions. That would at least get things going and help Venezuela's economy get better. But there would have to be some acknowledgement on from the Maduro government that they need to change things too, have a freer, fair set of elections, more transparent policies, and probably end some of the ruinous economic policies that have gotten them in this problem in the first place. I mean, the reason for success from the Chavez and Maduro governments at the beginning was they were spreading the wealth around to more people in the country, which was long needed. But they spent too much money.
Okay.
And then when the oil prices tanked, they had serious problems and they weren't able to meet the needs of their people. I think they need to fine tune what they're doing in terms of how much aid they give to people from oil revenues and do something to diversify their economic base.
Pathikrit, do you resonate with that? The fact is that the United States did ease some sanctions in exchange for a free and fair election in Venezuela. That has come out clearly as not something that is very clear in people's minds. People are out on the streets. They're saying this hasn't been a free and fair election.
So Shreya, first of all, I respect Ray's honesty. I deeply respect it. And secondly, see, I'll tell you one thing. Yes, Venezuela itself is the reason for the mess they have in the economy. There are also strong allegations of their connection with Hezbollah and in the narco terror entire cartel they are involved. But all I'm saying is that if our entire focus has to be to ensure that people do not suffer, then I think it's important for United States, which is still one of the biggest and the most powerful country in the world, has to actually do some to actually initiate a dialogue. It cannot be my way or the highway. That policy is no more working today. I'm not saying that the election was free and fair, but all I'm saying is this: it looks, whatever happens, irrespective of the outcome, country like Venezuela and many others in South America is also getting into a same chaos which Middle East today is in, Western Europe is in, South China Sea is in, and perhaps we don't know what would happen in the United States after the election in November. So I think the world has to be, and we will suffer, Shreya, because Venezuela is one of the biggest producer of oil in the world. So more sanctions, which are already there, that means price of commodities will go up. We don't know how it will impact United States, but it could impact them as well.
Certainly, global energy prices will be impacted, but we leave it there and let's see